to put a fence up?
Yeah.
Because he's had a lot of people come up through there and they're taking stuff out of his yard and stuff and sleeping in his
We have
yard.
to put some primers on it and things like that.
Okay, would you work on that, Rick?
Yeah.
for us, then?
Yeah.
Okay.
We have to.
All right, that's what John had raised up tonight. All right. Under ordinance and resolutions, item number 1, resolutions 2020-18, authorizing the city of LaFollette to participate in the risk management pool of property conservation match grant. Jimmy, you want to talk about that a little bit?
That is the grant that we participate in every year with PEP as that's TML. So it's the TML grants that everybody would be more familiar with. They've changed their name to Public Entity Partners, but it's Tennessee Municipal League. So it's the same grant, it's just under a different name.
Okay. All right, what's council's pleasure?
Go move, Mayor.
Have a motion, Mr. Wilson, have a second.
Second.
Second, Mr. Carlos, ma'am.
Mr. Archer? Yes. Mr. Hoskins?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Motion carries. Item number 2, resolutions 2020-19, amend the original budget 2020-21 budget. What's council's pleasure?
Motion approved.
Motion by Mark, have a second.
Second.
Second, Bill, call the roll, Sam.
Mr. Archer? Yes. Mr. Hoskins?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Motion carries. Item number 3, resolutions 2020-20, resolutions of submission of application for the Public Parks and Recreations LPFRL grant.
So move, Mayor.
Have a motion by Hot Rod, have a second.
Second.
Second, Mark, call the roll, Sam.
Mr. Archer? Yes. Mr. Hoskins?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Motion carries. Item number 4, resolutions 2020-20, resolution submissions of applications for the multimodal access grant. Jimmy, you want to go on that a little bit, Jimmy?
That is the 95.5 sidewalk grant that we've applied for in the past, is to start running a sidewalk to the west end city limits. There is some interest in the city of Carrollville and Jacksboro to run a sidewalk east. And if we're running on west, we can hopefully at some point in time connect.
Time of year, yeah. Because I talked to T-Dot a couple of years ago about it. It's like the highway at the valley. You know, I met with him over there, and I told him, I said, you know, 50 years ago, I was just going to do a highway for my father. I already heard. I'd like to see you get it started before I passed away. Now you've already started, so it's a mess now, so. But maybe we'll see that sidewalk in Carrollville in the fall. All right, what's council's pleasure?
Motion approved, Your Honor.
Have a motion, Mark, have a second.
Second.
Second, Bill, call us, man.
Mr. Archer? Yes. Mr. Hoskins?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Motion carries. Under administration, item number 1, employees' health insurance. John, if you don't comment on this, it's the same insurance we have, right, John?
It is. It's with Blue Cross Blue Shield, and it should be pretty seamless for the employees.
Same, okay. Okay, that's good. All right, I have a motion to accept Blue Cross Blue Shield.
Look, Mayor, real quick, one thing that motion needs to include is to make sure you include the Aflac hospitalization that the city provides every year. That's where it knocks the emergency room co-pays down and that kind of stuff.
Oh, that's right, that's right.
So that motion needs to include the Aflac policy also.
All right,
Motion approved.
Have a
Blue
motion.
Cross Blue Shield with Aflac
Policy.
policy. All right, have a motion, Mark, have a second.
Second.
Second, by Howard, call us, man.
Mr. Archer? Yes. Mr. Hoskins?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Motion carries. Item number 2, Christmas parade. We talked about in the workshop about, you know, not having it, so is there any comments from council on it?
It's a strange world that we live in today.
And to be honest with you, Mark, it's going to get worse, you know.
It is.
And like I said in the workshop, we're responsible for the safety of our employees and the taxpayers.
There's a lot of people that are upset that we have chosen, and really we didn't have much of a choice in the matter, not to have the parade. And for that, I'd like to apologize, but I still think it's a wise choice.
I agree with Mark. Will you have that as a motion, Mark?
I do.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second, Mr. McCall, then.
Mr. Archer? Yes. Mr. Hoskins?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Motion carries. Under Fire Department, item number 1, acceptance of turnout gear. You got your specs and bids in your packet. What's council's pleasure?
You had one bid that met the specs.
Yeah.
It was from Emergency Vehicle Specialist, and it was $21,600.
Motion approved.
Have a motion, by Mark, have a second.
Second.
Second, Bill, call us in.
Mr. Archer? Yes. Mr. Hoskins?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Motion carries. Being no further business, this meeting is adjourned.
Motion, Mayor, I got one thing.
Okay.
I'd like to suspend the rules for, I think, in my opinion, I think all this that we was looking at on all the paving on the streets and buying the tractors and fixing the creek, I'd like to make a motion that we adopt that tonight. The money figure pretty close.
Have you got the figures, Jimmy, what's gonna cost me, huh?
We got it on the tractor
You good?
and the building for the rec center. If I could get that. The tractor, the two tractors right now is $220,000 to $288. But that's a price for just this month. It'll probably go up $5,000 to $10,000 more.
Oh, what?
And Johnny, the building for the rec center, like earmarked 200,000 for it. And if we put the basins in up there to fix the flood, it'll probably cost us around, we gotta put 3, so that'd be around $60,000 for all 3 to fix it right.
Okay, what was the money coming from? We talked about it all, but
The money we borrowed.
the money we borrowed, was it right, Terry? Terry's the money man.
Well, it's in the process of getting the resolution right now for y'all to approve.
I think if you make that motion, it has to be, if you want, first of all, you have to make a motion to suspend the rules, and you have to vote on that. Secondly, if you make these motions, they have to be made contingent upon the city receiving the capital outlay note. Because Terry's applied for it, but we don't actually have it yet.
Do we have to have a budget for the asphalt? Cost estimate
Yeah.
included in there?
Yeah.
Do you do or do not, Terry?
To get the resolution, I just have to give them a list of what we are generally going to do. And then once you get the money, then you decide whatever you're going to do.
Actually, we're discussing Mr. Wilson's attempt to make sure that these projects get completed, is what it sounds like what he's doing.
Well, that's up to you all, because the only thing I have to do is just put in what we talked about at the workshop, because they're going to put it on the resolution.
Yeah. Jimmy, do we need a budget, a budget amount? Read.
Hang on, I was writing, it's the roads that we had discussed, correct? Okay. The 2 tractors, and that was roughly 250,000.
For the road, you said,
No, for the 2 tractors.
222.88, I believe is what Mr. Wilson said.
But that price was good for this month?
Just this month.
So it'd be not to exceed, you should probably do that one, not to exceed 250 if you want to do it. And the rec building is 200,
Yeah.
okay?
And I got one more thing. You know, we all discussed it when this COVID thing come about, that we would give our employees hazardous duty pay. If everybody remember.
I remember that. You read?
I remember we discussed some things like that. I remember discussing a workshop on that. Just generally, I don't think anything specific. I don't think y'all discussed about specific figures.
We didn't say specific figure, we just said we'd like to give them hazardous duty.
Well, you know, how we're giving them days off with pay. We shut stuff down. Yeah. At least the taxpayers' money we're talking about.
We got a lot of working though that are out there facing it every minute that they're out there.
Did the utilities pay hazard pay?
No, I don't think so. Kenny's not saying that.
I agree with Hot Rod that if these guys were not forced, but were required by their job description to face up with this pandemic and to help secure this city during that period of time. And I don't know about the days off, Mayor. I didn't realize they were getting days off. that they need to be compensated for something, and if those days off were enough compensation, then, but I don't know those numbers.
Well,
Those are the people that's sick, that get sick, that you're talking about, right?
Seems like everybody out there faces it every day, every one of our employees.
Firefighters, police department, first responders of any kind.
What do you want to put on?
$500.
What would that cost, all right?
I'm not gonna figure on it. I'm not-
Terry?
$50,000.
Yeah.
What do you think, Terry?
Where you want to take the money from?
Out of that bargain money.
The bar, you can't, no, you can't do that, can't do that.
Okay.
None of it is, that riding rod for a while. But they're right. But on hot rods, there were proposals to have a motion to suspend the rules.
I'll make a motion to suspend the rules.
Have a motion, Mark, have a second.
Second.
Have a second. Hot rod, how was that?
Mr. Archer?
Yes.
Mr. Hoskins?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yeah.
All right. Motion carries. You will let that ride hot rod, see how it goes. When it starts coming in. All right. Being no further business, meeting adjourned.
Are you gonna vote on, if you suspended the rules, you gotta vote on
Gotcha.
that.
That'll go on the stuff.
Okay. Well,
Somebody help us make this motion.
Okay, what the motion, I think, the closest I can come up with, and this is just a ballpark, but roughly for the additional roads, this does not include Beach Street, but for the additional roads is probably roughly 150 to 175,000.
And Jimmy, the road you're talking about is down there at Charlie's Pizza, right?
This is South Avenue to Central, North Cumberland to Prospect, South Cumberland to Beach Street.
Okay, that's supposed to be STP roads.
But it came, the handicap thing took that money out for the handicap. We done both.
So we sent those roads out, sent the
Yes.
notice out to the paper to have bids on those roads. You know, we're supposed to bid them, so we'll have bids on those roads, but, and I'm estimating between 150 and 175,000. It's just it's an estimate. But I think if y'all are doing these motions, I would do them to not exceed 175, not exceed 250, not exceed 200, and not exceed 60.
That way if it comes in less, we're in
Good shape.
good shape.
Yeah.
Now you're going down toward 200 for Nicky to Beach Street.
That will come out of your capital outlay note also.
Okay.
So we're at $1,085,000 now.
So you put 2, 4, 6, 750. You're about 8 and a quarter, something.
I'm sorry, $885,000.
So tractor's gonna be what, you need to want?
250. There are 222, but that's good for this month. So if you do it not to exceed, and they come in at 230, you're fine. So if they only go up $8,000, you're fine.
Okay.
But you can amend it, but I would just make these motions contingent on receiving the capital outlay note. Then if you want to add Beach Street, you want to do Beach Street in its entirety, not to exceed $200,000. You want to do the other STP roads that were named, along with the short section of Chestnut, Eastgate, and Brantley, Memorial Drive, and Cumberland Lane, not to exceed 175. You want to, and you just want to earmark that money for that.
The Cumberland Lane and Brant and the Commodore is coming out of that other one.
Yeah.
What other money?
Then look at this picture.
Where we bought the rest of the leftover money, we earmarked that leftover.
That is correct, we did do that.
Yeah.
Okay, well that, okay.
That's earmarked for them.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the streets.
So we
So
can make-
here's what your motion needs to say. Your motion needs to say,
listen carefully, all right.
contingent on receiving, and Terry, make sure I get this correct, contingent on receiving the capital outlay note, you want to earmark, paving money for Beach Street not to exceed $200,000. Y'all probably should just do this all in separate motions. So do that as a first motion and then just go through them, because if we try to do them all, it's too long of a motion, it'll get messed up.
Well, no, it's amended, and this is what it,
Okay.
what you recommend.
So, on the second one, the additional roads, make your motion the same, not to exceed $175,000. For the 2 tractors for the street department, not to exceed $250,000. For the rec building, not to exceed $200,000. For the culverts, not to exceed $60,000. So that's what your motion needs to say. Contingent on receiving the capital outlay funds, you want to earmark those dollar amounts for those projects.
Okay. That's your recommendation, right, Jimmy?
Yeah, I mean, that's what y'all gonna do with it anyway.
All right, do I have a motion?
I make the motion.
Got a motion, how about have a second?
Second.
Second, all right.
The motion is here for,
Mr. Archer,
Yes.
Mr. Hoskins,
Yes.
Mr. Wilson.
yes.
Motion carries, okay. This
Stan,
man,
that's as Jimmy read it.
yeah,
I've got it.
it's gonna come out, Jimmy's budget.
We're voting on Jimmy's motion now.
See, this meeting's adjourned.
We call the Beer Board meeting to order.
What are you gonna do on the phone?
Mr. Archer,
Wait a minute.
I'm sorry.
What do you want to think about it? You think we can take it out of that?
Yeah, we can do it later. Let's go ahead. Meeting's adjourned, let's go ahead. All right.
Okay, I brought it up.
I think they ought to have it.
What are you guys talking
It's
about?
ain't gonna be here that long there.
That 500 for
Oh, for the employees.
you. Yeah, I know it's taxpayer money, and supposedly whenever the federal government ever gets straightened out and this election deal is over, you know, they promise the state, this municipalities money to help with the cost of this costing the cities and the state for this. But we talked about it way back when this COVID first started.
Terry, will we ever receive anything from the federal or state government?
We just got money last week.
Did it reimburse us for every lost dime as a result of the days off due to COVID?
No, the way the Barbara done it, she's had to do it for payroll. I think we got 101,000. It's called the CARES Act. It's called the CARES Act.
Are you talking about that FFCRA Act? Is that what you're talking about? You're not talking about that where it reimburses money for time off for COVID?
This is a hazardous duty thing.
But, I mean, you're talking about the reimbursement. Is that through that FFCRA? It's federal something, Coronavirus Relief Act?
That's to get the people paid that have COVID.
Or that have to, yeah, or that are quarantined because of exposure.
No, this is totally, this is,
Is there any money out there to reimburse us for hazardous pay for our workforce?
It's not in the
That
budget.
FFCRA is the only act I
I'm
know.
talking about for the feds or the state.
I don't know.
That is a federal
We got the CARES Act.
federal act.
It's not earmarked for
no hazardous.
hazardous pay.
No, that's if someone's.
No, it's in-
Actual loss due to the.
Is tested positive, or if somebody has a family member's tested positive, and they have to
Stay off.
stay off work.
It's what everybody wants to do.
Well, we are adjourned, we're just discussing.
We're just discussing, we're adjourned.
Call the beer board to order, call the roll stand.
Mr. Archer,
President.
Mr. Hoskins,
Here.
Mayor Stanfield, Ms. Thompson, Chairman Wilson.
Here, we don't have any applications, I hear a motion.
Motion.
Question asked, how long does a business have to be out of business before they lose their license?
When they miss paying their payment.
For a year, their license will be for 1 year, and it's a year from the date they were issued.
Let's say that. That license is good.
They ain't go back up the city. You put some in?
See, it's not.
Did you get an answer to your question, Bill? Did you get an answer?
Well, Jared,
Yes. Did you get an answer to your question on the business license?
1 year.
Which one is it?
Beer on the beer permit.
It's a year from the date they get the license.
You still building bottles?
You know, somebody told me the other day that he's not gonna open the store no more, but they're gonna put some other type building.
You just built that drive-through ramp out there.